So in this video, I want to talk about something I call the 3 Ps. And this has really helped me in my life to regulate my nervous system, be less reactive, take control of my life, and ultimately shift the direction of my life and who I am. And this framework is pretty universal. I think anyone can use it. And I think I'm very confident, I know this will help anyone that watches this video and practices these things on a regular basis. So these 3 Ps have really helped me shift my way of life, and I hope they do the same for you. So the first P is presence. And presence is basically the foundation, I find, for living a peaceful way of life, to be at home within yourself. And presence is something that we can do all the time. It's what life is. Life is presence. Everything else happens in our imagination, in our mind. The future is an imagined vision that we have, and the past is a memory. The present is literally all we ever have. And to be disconnected from the present is to be disconnected from life. And I think a lot of times in the fast-paced world we live in, we need to be productive all the time, always achieving more things or striving for more things. We're usually thinking about the future. We're usually thinking about the next thing. And again, it pulls us away from presence. And what I've come to realize is the more mindful and present I can be, the more I can breathe presence into every moment right now, just being here, the more at peace I am in life. The less things bother me, the less my own thinking bothers me. It doesn't pull me down, it doesn't drag me around anymore. I'm here now with what I'm doing. I'm not thinking about the next thing, or I'm not thinking about the past or where I need to get to next, or how this task is a means to some end that I'm trying to get to, or that I'm not there yet. None of that. Those things pull us out of the present moment. And it prevents us from showing up as our best right now. How could we possibly show up as our best in our job, in our relationships, in whatever we're doing, if our mind is somewhere else? We can't. We can't possibly show up as our best when our attention is fragmented, is dispersed. When we're working on something, but we're thinking about something else. When we're multitasking, when we're constantly stimulated or distracted or living from our autopilot brain. And so I found that presence is the foundation, as I said, of living a peaceful and fulfilling life. Because through presence, we reconnect with ourselves. We reconnect with that spiritual essence, that intuitive voice that is always guiding us in life. And I feel like a lot of times we go through life disconnected from that voice, disconnected from that beingness within, which is life. I made another video about that, about whether we're living or surviving, and to truly live is to be fully immersed in the present moment. Not judging it, not trying to change it, but just to be in the present through beingness, because through that, we're no longer separating ourselves from life, which is right now. You are life. You are presence, awareness, beingness. That is not separate from life, from the flow of life, the unfolding. Yet a lot of times we use life as an agenda that needs to be filled with tasks and to-dos and bucket list items, which is fine. But again, when we're always striving for the next thing, we're never truly at peace. We're always moving the goalpost. Doesn't mean you don't do anything anymore, but it means you're fully immersed in the moment right now with whatever you're doing. So presence is again, the foundation I have found. And by slowing down, by being mindful, we can come back to presence, come back to awareness, reconnect with ourselves and see, am I living a life that's true to me? You can begin to really reflect on the life that you're living and start to take it in a different direction. So not only are you showing up as your best self, fully aware, fully with whatever you're doing or whoever you're with, whatever task you're doing, you can give all of yourself to that. But now you can also evaluate if the life you're living is actually true to you through presence, through beingness. You can, like I said, reconnect with yourself. To be present is to be fully aware, to live from awareness. And if we're not living from awareness, we're likely living from compulsions, from autopilot, from the story in our mind, the compulsive thinking, the incessant thinking that goes on, always assigning some sort of label or judgment to what's going on outside of us. And that becomes our way of life. It's our own perception, our own lens, our own conditioning that slaps a label or a judgment onto what happens, the objective reality, which then becomes our subjective reality. And through that, we decide how we feel about it, what we're going to do, how we're going to react. And we go through life disconnected, as I said, disconnected from the objective truth that life is and from within. Presence, I've found when we can bring presence into life, into this human experience, there's a subtle joy that comes from that. An inner peace that just kind of resonates within you. You slowly begin to raise your vibration, your frequency that you're putting off, because we're all energetic beings. Things begin to change through that presence, that lifting of your frequency or your vibration. You begin to bring forth or attract things that are on that level, different thoughts, different ideas, different circumstances. Not only that, but you begin to become a higher expression of yourself through this presence, this beingness, because your thoughts are no longer in the driver's seat. It doesn't mean the thoughts aren't there. It means you are simply aware of the thoughts as they go, and you can choose whether you're going to act on them or not. We're no longer reactive. Presence is powerful, highly powerful. Maybe one of the most powerful P's in this video that I'm talking about, which is why I mentioned it first. So it helps us live consciously in life, to be present. And to be conscious is to have mastery over ourselves, over our life experience, our inner world. And through that, our life begins to change. So that's the first P, presence. The second P is pausing. Pausing, again, extremely powerful. This is practice, putting presence into practice. So this is very helpful with breaking compulsive patterns within ourselves. If you feel like you're trying to break a bad habit or you're trying to be more conscious in life, consciously control yourself, the way you take your life, your behaviors, pausing is foundational to that. It's very, very important. It's a keystone because quite often we go through life when we have these reactive patterns. We get triggered, we feel something, we react, we say something, we lash out. We get a trigger, some association, we decide to compulsively react or impulsively react. Let's say I'm trying to lose weight. I had a stressful day. Well, there's a bag of chips in front of me. That bag of chips, immediately I'm gonna feel like I wanna grab that bag of chips and eat it. Without pausing, I will do that. But with pausing, we give ourselves the chance to separate ourselves from the thought or the emotion or the compulsion that once ran our life. This is, again, the beginning of practicing presence. Because through presence, you're fully aware of whatever's going on within yourself. You're bringing yourself into the now, noticing the thought patterns, the emotions, whatever's happening within or outside of us. And through pausing, we can separate ourselves further from the reactive behaviors that have controlled our life. And the more we can pause, it's like a muscle that we strengthen within ourselves. The less reactive we become, the more mastery we have over ourselves. The patterns no longer run our life anymore. Those autopilot behaviors that have kept us exactly where we are, they no longer run our life. We are in the driver's seat when we pause. And you realize that by pausing, it loses its power over you. It doesn't have the grip over you that you once had, that it once did. You realize that it was just this thing that you kind of created in your mind, a habit, a way of being that had so much momentum. And by pausing, you start to slow down that momentum. You break the cycle. Again, extremely powerful for shifting the direction of your life, shifting yourself, building mastery, building presence, becoming more conscious in life. It's extremely powerful to be able to pause before doing something, before reacting. So when we can learn to pause, we learn to take our power back. This is and through being mindful, we breathe consciousness into our lives. Like I said, we're no longer running on the autopilot patterns anymore. And through presence and pausing, these are two methods of being able to regulate ourselves. A lot of times we run on this dysregulated nervous system, as I've talked about in many other videos. And this dysregulation is largely what controls us in life. The direction we go, the direction we don't go because of fear, because it's trying to keep us safe, our perception in life, the thoughts we continue to have. Living in fight or flight will always compel us to act or to react, to avoid, to force, to control, whatever it is. And by coming back into presence, you no longer feel like you have to force anymore because you're in touch with yourself, which is awareness, beyond the thoughts. But you begin to see the thoughts clearly. You're aware of them. And through pausing, you're no longer acting or reacting to those dysregulated patterns in your life or any other fear-based patterns. This is the path to regulating. It is just sitting with yourself, not trying to fix it necessarily by doing, but through being, by sitting with it and allowing it to pass, because it will pass. This too shall pass. Everything comes and goes on the screen of consciousness. And the screen of consciousness is presence, awareness. Awareness watches everything. Without awareness, there would be no human experience for you. There's an awareness that is filling your being, if you will. It's the container for your life experience. If you can experience something, you can observe it. If you can experience something, there's an awareness that behind it first. And when we experience it, we assign an interpretation to it with our mind, with our emotions, with whatever else. And that creates a compulsion to do something, to react. But when we live this way, we're not conscious. So by being present, by pausing with this that is happening, it will pass. Just like every other emotion, just like every other sensation you've had in your body. It's all coming and going. Awareness will watch it. And if you can return to awareness, if you can return to being present and pausing with these things, you can start to regulate the pattern and not let it control you anymore. You can break the bad habits. As I've said in another video, bad habits are just a way that we try to regulate ourselves, soothe ourselves, cope with whatever's going on. But we can also reparent ourselves by being with ourselves. Not always distracting, not always needing to stimulate, but by being present, by just being with it, by sitting with that inner child or whatever that is, that past trauma or whatever. You just sit with it. You don't play with it anymore. You don't wrestle with it in your mind. You don't try to intellectualize it. You just be with it and pause. Presence and pausing are extremely powerful for self-transformation, for inner mastery, for being conscious in life. I'd say it is truly the like I said, the foundation for living a conscious life is being present and pausing. So the last P is procrastination. I think we all tend to do it sometimes. Some of us, more than others. And procrastination is one of those things that creates a lot of weight on us and on our shoulders and anxiety, putting something off. And then what it does is it weighs on us. Oh shit, I need to do that still. Oh, whatever. And we avoid and we do something else, or, so the story goes. I've found that if you can do it in 5 seconds, just do it. Sure, maybe it'll take 30 seconds. Maybe it'll take 2 minutes. I don't know. But chances are you have the time anyways. So just do it. Just do the thing right then and there. It is liberating. It truly is. You feel so much lighter when you just move into the thing that you avoid, the thing that you want to put off for whatever reason. Maybe it's a doubt thing, it's a fear thing, it's the way that we relate to it that causes us to feel these types of emotions that make us want to push something away or procrastinate it. But procrastinating, like I said, it creates a lot of overwhelm for us, a lot of mental load for us in life. Because it's like, oh, you come home after a day of work or whatever. It's like, oh man, now I need to do the laundry, and there's dishes that are accumulating, and I still need to do my taxes, and I need to wash the car, and like all of these things, they build up and they build up and they build up, and it's easy to avoid and turn on the TV or do anything to avoid it. But it sits in you and it drags you down. It pulls you down. And it grows in your mind. That thing, that little thing that you shoved under the rug, it begins to grow. And eventually you feel this weight on your shoulders, and you go through life with this irritability, this frustration, this anxiety, all because you know that there's all of these things that are sitting in your mind on a subconscious level that you're putting off, and it makes you want to avoid even more, if that's the pattern that you are used to dealing with it. So by not procrastinating, by just taking action right away, it's a very subtle thing, but it can make a huge difference to just do it right then and there. which is kind of funny because the second P was pausing. So, you pause with compulsions, but you just take action with the things that, need to be done. And you know what the difference is between those two things. So these are the three Ps that have really helped me in my life. Again, it's not necessarily about needing to set a super high goal of getting somewhere. It's about these foundational practices in life. It's like this is learning how to walk. And I think a lot of times we set these big goals of, when I get this thing, I'll live a more peaceful or fulfilling life. This will help me get that or feel that way. When I get the house, or when I get, more money, or, a partner, or when I'm on the beach in Maui, or whatever it is. But the truth is that way of life is created through these foundational practices. So mastering these things is working on inner mastery, so you can create a better life experience for yourself internally. And when you can do that, things begin to change for you externally. So I hope this video helps, and I'll see you in the next video.